Jane, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, Ronnie, I can hear you. How are you?
Awesome. You?
Good, good. Thanks.
Good. So, can you see this my screen?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. And are we able to switch who is sharing their screen?
Yes, we can. Let me just see here. Yeah, we should be able to. We can work off your screen.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm just, I think it looks like the waiting room was enabled. So I'm just turning that off so people can enter as they click on the link, making sure everybody's muted. And I'll just stay on top of that in case somebody comes in with their mic on.
Okay, let me know when we're good to go.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I'll do an intro at exactly 11 and then we'll wait. I usually like to wait a few minutes. We can officially start at 11:05.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, sounds good. I'll be back.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about TREB tips and tricks. You're going to have me, Jane, and Ronnie is joining me today. Ronnie, if you're there, hello, thank you for being here.
Hello.
We are going to wait a few minutes just to get started. We have a few participants here already. Thanks for being on time. But yeah, we'll allow for a few more people to join us, and we'll officially get started at 11:05. So we'll be back. Thanks so much. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be talking about TREB tips and tricks. So you have me, Jane Stevens, and Ronnie is also here. He's going to be walking us through the basics. So Ronnie, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you again. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to chat with us. Basically, we're going to be going over, as I said, TREB really tricks, what you need to know, because I'm sure like most of us, we all did our TREB orientation, and at the time it was all sort of thrown at us. So we probably walked away from that with what we needed to know, but we've probably forgotten some of the other things that are available to us. So I'm going to hand it over to Ronnie. He's going to walk us through it. And then again, if you guys have any questions, we'll address that at the end. So thanks so much, Ronnie. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Jane. Yeah, so first we'll start with going over the basics. I guess the first page that you always come across is the login page. And just a quick reminder, the user ID that you have is a 7-digit TREB ID. You would set your own PIN, enter your authenticator password, which is included in the Clarity app. I'm sure this is a very, very basic thing for absolutely everybody. So it shouldn't be a problem. And if it is, then there's a phone number for your contact right here, 416-443-81111, 8111. Yeah, so this, as soon as you enter your password, this would be the home screen. It is loaded with information. Keep in mind that TREB does its best to, I guess, update with the times, but there's just too many links going on here. So I think it's a good idea for us to go over what's useful and what's kind of not. So the top bar over here, essentially would, as soon as you slide over your mouse over it, you get a bunch of features and links that can be accessible here on the help desk as well. The most crucial elements of this home screen is the search properties button, which is how you would actually enter Stratus. But on top of that, you also have access to Instant Authenticign through here. I personally like to have that bookmarked so that I can quickly access it without logging in through TREB, because it keeps logging you out if you're not active. And this little shopping cart will get you to the e-commerce website, which is how you'd be able to order lockboxes or signs or different TREB paraphernalia, such as maps and I guess forms, booklets, and clauses. Keep your eye out on the news and the headlines. This is just important for you to keep updated with what's going on compliance-wise and generally with the market. So when you click on any of these links, essentially, it would essentially bring you to this spotlight link. So I'm not sure why they have all these options available for you, because essentially, as soon as you click any of them, it will bring you to this this little web page. So this is actually a pretty useful portion of TREB. It includes, again, way too many links and way too much information. So I like to go over just a few of the things that'll help you stay informed and stay on top of things. Just a quick little note. Sometimes when you click on any of these links, you'd be prompted to a different login page. So the password in here would usually be your first letter, your first name, and your last name. So anytime you don't see a PIN number, this is how you would actually approach that page. I know that I would get confused a lot and frustrated. So I would enter my TREB member number and then enter my password, which I would think would be my PIN or my authenticator. But turns out that it's actually just first letter, your first name, and then your last name. Typically, when you actually get into managing your profile, this is how you would log in. So in Spotlight, these are the two most useful links for me as a growth manager. Anytime you're stuck with anything related to forms or clauses, keep in mind that TREB also has explanations for all these forms and clauses, and then virtually any tool that that TREB offers, there's essentially a manual stored somewhere in here. So particularly when you click over clauses, you get the clause booklet. So you can click on this link and it would generate a PDF with all the standard clauses that TREB has for you. And by the same token, if you're confused about any forms, TREB also has all the forms. So I believe there is also an option for you to find some explained forms or forms explained, but you have to do a little bit of digging here. Another useful little section in the spotlight is the technology corner. So anytime you're really, really confused over something, let's say you're drafting an offer at 1 o'clock at night and your growth manager is not reachable, keep in mind that there are manuals. So if you're confused about web forms or Authentisign, click on web forms and Authentisign in the technology corner. Same with Stratus or Collaborate. So when you click on the web forms and Authentisign, you get these two little links. These are very, very short guides for you to have. So if you're brand new and you're constantly struggling with either creating transactions or sending signatures electronically, these are like two-page PDFs that'll be a quick guide for you with just the basics. On top of that, TREB offers webinars, I believe weekly. One is working on with web forms and the other is Authentisign. So you can sign up to those, I think, a week in advance, and I don't believe there's a charge or anything. Oh yeah, complimentary. So when you click on the Stratus manuals, again, it would prompt you to this page, which has links to PDFs. Honestly, these guides can be a little too thorough and long. Some of them are 80 pages long. So no one expects you to go through them, but if you really want to be a TREB Stratus guru, then this is probably a good place to start. And again, if you click on a Collaborate link, this would give you a link to a quick video explaining what Collaborate is, and then reference guides for salespersons and for clients. Collaborate is a tool that TREB ideally has us use in order to involve our clients with the prospect search. So another quick little important detail. Typically, new agents in Zolo get confused about where their confirmations are going. Sometimes that gets lost because the email that you have registered with TREB would be the previous email that you'd have and not your current Zolo email. So a quick way to fix that is by clicking on this little gear, entering Manage My Profile, entering your first name, last name as password, and it would prompt you to this page. There's not a whole lot in here. When you click on Preferences, it would bring you over to this little screen where you can click on Edit to edit any of the details that you can see in your profile. Then you'd scroll down and you can change your email here. Okay, so that was just the very, very, very basics of things that you probably wouldn't use every day. But what you do use every day is Stratus MLS search. So this home screen, again, is pretty loaded and quite frankly, a little bit repetitive because there's links everywhere that would link you to a web page that you could find elsewhere. So the most important thing for you to see here is the quick search, which is actually how you would start on a basic prospect search. You would select freehold, condo for freehold and condo properties. If you want to find something available or unavailable, you can check mark both. Sale or lease. I mean, there's a lot you can do here and a lot of information you can enter. And through this webinar, I'll actually I'll highlight some things that you, I guess, shouldn't filter with. Because keep in mind that all listings are uploaded by other realtors, and that's subject to human error. So one example in particular is if you're doing a comparable search based on square footage of homes, not every real estate agent will upload the square footage of the actual property on the listing. So you might be missing out on some listings if you select, let's say, between 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. Some important things for you to see here are, well, resources. It has a link to collaborate, which is seen also on the left side. Schools, so if you ever want to get into searching by a school area, then you can actually get into the district school board websites through here and look up school maps. So on the left side, this will always appear on almost every single page that you're using to browse on Stratus. You can make it disappear by clicking on this down arrow. Some important links here that you should actually be using through the MLS listing that you're searching are public records and geo warehouse. You can access those through the actual MLS listing that you're in. Some other, well, formerly important link was Connect, which was connecting us with interboard listings, but that's no longer useful. So if you are looking to do some research on out-of-board listings, best place is probably to post on Workplace and connect with our colleagues just so they can help you out with something. Another important tool for me is TREB map. So this is a link for you to get to TREB's map. You're able to turn on and off different filters so that you can see how areas are split up according to TREB. It's important for you to know specifically in your particular neighborhood. So on the right side, resources, we went over that quickly. You can also access Technology Center corner over here for manuals, as well as training videos. On the bottom right side, you'll see alerts. The alerts will be for expiring prospect searches or CMAs, and we'll go over that shortly. And another quite important little section of Stratus is today's listing. So these would be areas that you'd have set up, areas of interest for you or for a client. And you can essentially have those changed at will. This is a pretty important little corner because it gives you basically all the updates of either new listings. So anything that's new would be a brand new listing that came out, or updates. So any price changes or status updates in that particular area. Yeah, so when you click on that little gear on the bottom, manage today's listing, you get to this page where you actually are able to set up your market areas. So this particular area is Trinity Bellwoods, Toronto CO1. So you'd actually be able to select multiple areas if you like, for condo or freehold, for sale or for lease. Unfortunately here, you can't really narrow down any other search criteria. So bedrooms, garage spots, frontage, etc. This is not where you would essentially filter. In here, you can actually get a general picture of what's going on in that particular market area. So the bread and butter of our work life is searching on Stratus. So when you click on this magnifying glass on the left-hand side, you'd get to this page where you can start a brand new search. You can select either residential, freehold, or condo. Typically, if you select both, your results will be a little bit confusing because freehold and condo has different search fields. So if you select both, then you have to manually add extra criteria to search through, which is a little bit annoying. So I typically avoid searching both condos and freeholds at the same time. With respect to availability, available and unavailable, you can totally do searches for that at the same time and get a list of all the properties that are either available or unavailable, and you can sort further, and we'll go over that with a quick little demo afterwards. And by the way, when you click this unavailable, immediately you're able to actually checkmark include archived listings, which would include listings that are probably older than 2017, I believe. So anything that's older than that would be archived. So when you click on continue here, you get to this page. Some of the more important filters in my view are highlighted here. The obvious ones are area. You actually can't continue a search until you select an area. If you're just doing a search based on an address, on an exact street address, you can just check mark GTA and then enter the street name. But not all homes on one street are comparable, and sometimes it's difficult to find a direct comparable on a street. So sometimes it's better to just use searches by area or municipality. Prices, listing prices are an obvious here. Days on market are particularly useful, in my opinion, in Toronto. When you're looking to avoid a bidding war, I would type in a minimum days on market of 14 days, let's say, if your clients are really apprehensive about those. So that would immediately filter out brand new listings, but that's not necessarily the best way of going about this. It's just essentially if your clients want a deal on a property that's been on the market for a little longer than is normal. Last status. So I typically don't like to have sold conditionally listings populate on my search, typically because they're like 90% of them would be firmed up. Property characteristics and style are relatively important depending on your client. Another important filter is basement. So many people prefer to search for homes that have a finished or a walkout or an apartment. In particular, this is exactly where you would select that. I don't like using approximate square footage or approximate age for the same reason that I mentioned a little bit earlier, because not all agents will input the exact square footage or any square footage at all. Not all agents would input the approximate age of the home. I typically like to verify that on GeoWarehouse or on public records to see when the home was built. Bedrooms, washrooms, and kitchens, also important filters. So kitchens, if your client's looking for let's say a duplex or a triplex or just a house with rent potential, or an already separated living quarter, then you would enter essentially minimum 2 kitchens, and it would just greatly reduce the search results, which is the whole point of filtering. Another quite important filter is garage parking spaces. I actually like to use only the total parking spaces because, again, entering data on MLS is not uniform. Some agents don't enter the total parking spaces correctly or the garage parking spaces correctly, and you don't want to miss out on a listing. So I would just put in the total parking spaces, minimum 1 or 2 depending on how many cars my client has. And this is the trick portion, I guess, the other fields. So this is a little tricky, pardon the pun. So when you actually click on add field, you get a whole slew of options of extra fields that you can filter by. So for comparable searches on particular sizes of homes, I actually like to use the lot frontage. It would give you a much better indication of the size of a lot, obviously. If you select lot frontage, just enter the minimum lot frontage or the maximum, and you'd be able to filter out homes pretty accurately. Remarks for brokers or clients. This would be useful when you're it's not 100% accurate because it's again based off of humans entering data, and inevitably there's a lot of variation, so it's never 100% accurate. But let's say you're looking for a property for a client for rent that is pet friendly. you would actually select the remarks for brokers, remarks for clients, and then you would type in the words pets allowed, pet friendly for both clients and broker remarks. So to see if your keywords are relevant, you should pay attention to the count at the top. At any time that you add anything to a filter, you would have a count of how many properties would actually populate under that particular filter. So in this case, I just did GTA. I checkmarked GTA, and then the only other filters that I'd have is properties that explicitly say pet friendly or pets allowed. And it would give me a result of 11 total properties in the entire GTA. It's funny, if you type in the word no pets or then you would get about like 1,000 results. For myself, when I click the magnifying glass, I actually prefer to start searches based on a map search. I don't think that, I just think that it's much better for myself and for my clients to understand geographically the properties that they're looking at. So I personally like to draw out the maps with geographical borders of where my clients are willing to go, as opposed to starting a new search based off of municipalities or areas. Because sometimes a municipality or an area is just too big and not specific enough. In this case, you're able to specify exactly where your search results will come out. So in the same way that you would start a new search, you would select either freehold, residential condo, available, unavailable, sale, or for lease, and you'd be prompted to this page. So in this page right now, there's absolutely no search results because the search criteria is too wide. There's too many properties. So we need to start filtering out, either by using the criteria filters or by drawing out a map. So when you click on a polygon or circle or square, you're actually able to draw out an area. Quick little tip, when you click on map layers, you're actually able to see and change the geographic boundaries that TREB has on any given map. So you would click on map layers, add communities, let's say, and then you'd have this kind of guideline of which areas are where. For me, it's helpful to draw out specific search areas. So in this example, I just followed the Don River until Yonge Street and drew out a polygon of a particular area of interest. And so I think the results populated in about 20 or 30 homes. So that's still too wide of a search, in my opinion, in this particular area, because for this example, my client was looking for something a little more specific. And in particular, they didn't want to have anything populated around Moss Park. So another quick little trick is you can draw out a second polygon within your first polygon. And then click on this little square and hollow circle, and it would hollow out the area that your client is not interested in. So my client was not interested in a particular area in Moss Park, so I was able to essentially hollow it out, and then no results from that little square will come out. This is pretty useful for your future searches. So let's say this is a client that's a repeat client or just somebody that's a little picky. You can actually save this shape for future references and future searches, and then start a new search based on a saved shape, just so you don't have to keep redrawing it. You just click on this floppy disk. What is a floppy disk anyways? Yeah, more importantly is the criteria filters. So it's similar criteria filters that we'd see in a new search that's not map-based. In fact, they're exactly the same. Keep in mind, you can select multiple criterias by clicking on command and clicking on the exact the criteria that you want to include. So I wanted all like two story, 2.5 story, and 3 stories. If you're not a Mac user, then it would be Control. So you would click on Control and then click on 2-story, Control 2.5-story, Control 3-story, and all three of these would be populated on the map.
Ronnie, I'm just going to jump in here with a question because I think it's relevant to what you're showing right now. So is there any way to specify maintenance fees in condos? Is that one of the search criteria?
Yeah, you can actually add a field.
Perfect.
And when you start a search, So yeah, when you start a search here, I think if you select condo and not freehold, then it would automatically come up. And if it doesn't, then you can just add a field, look for maintenance fees, and then filter by that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So if you're not sure if this is the exact, or if you want to find out what the limiting factor of each search is, you can actually click on Preview, and it would give you which filter sorts out the most properties. So the strongest filter in this particular scenario was garage parking space, right? Because this is, by the way, outside of the map search. It just shows you how many homes have a minimum of one garage, that also have a minimum of 2 bedrooms, that also have either 2-story, 2.5-story, or 3-story. So it's just a way for you to understand a particular area and just what type of homes are available in general. And again, you can save your map search the same way that you would before. And more importantly is the prospect search. We'll go into that, but this is just a quick way for you to start a prospect search off of a map search. So you start the map search, you draw out your map, you hollow out whatever area is not important, you insert whatever filters are necessary, and then you would click on this check mark, and you'd be prompted to this little screen where you would create your prospect. So your prospects would actually get automated emails daily, I believe inconveniently at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they would populate the search results of the previous day's listing. So any brand new listing or any important status updates would be included in this email that are within your search criteria. So within a particular area with filters. This is particularly useful for Zolo leads that are very particular about what they're looking for. So Zolo does a great job of sending comparables based on clicks, but it's not perfect. So you want to add the human element of going through and filtering exact areas of search and exact filters, and entering your Zolo leads email into this prospect search so that they receive it directly from you and not just from Zolo. So in here, you're actually able to preview what it would look like. You'd enter email subject and email message. It doesn't have to be a contact in your contact list. You can actually just enter their full name and email and just name your prospect search and set an expiration date, and then it would just send these particular listings as per the criteria daily until it expires. So another way to start a prospect search is when you click on the magnifying glass, click on the prospect search tab, and in here you can actually see how many different you can create essentially I think unlimited amount of prospects. Not that you should have an unlimited amount of prospects, but in here I have 8. You would be able to see if one prospect is expired, and if it is, you click on extend. You have to check mark the prospect first and click on extend. At any given moment, you can check mark a prospect and click on manage, and it will bring you to this similar screen. So when you actually create a prospect from here, you would be prompted to this screen where you can start a map search again or a new search. And once you enter the actual prospect search, this is what your screen would look like. So this is the map that my client would want to have ideally, with a particular price range, bedrooms. I don't like including sold conditionally units, so I click on not SC. So then no sold conditionally units will appear on this search. In my view, it's kind of irrelevant for my client in a very fast moving market like Toronto. If something's sold conditional, you might as well consider it gone. So when you click on results, if you're not a map person, you can actually get rid of the map, click on results, and you'd get a list of all the properties in that search criteria. You can check mark every listing that you like and either add it to a cart. So a cart is just essentially a list of listings. You can name your cart and then just go back to it anytime, add on to it anytime, remove properties out of it anytime. Similar function is favorites. Just you could just click on the star beside a listing and it would be added onto your favorite. So in this particular case, I highlighted six different listings. You can either click on print to print those listings or click on send to send those listings to either to your client, essentially. So when you click on send, this is the screen that you get. You'd enter your client's email address, and then you can select what type of a form you like to send. So I like to send the client full because there's some superfluous information that your client doesn't need to know regarding broker remarks or brokerage phone number or listing agent phone number. So I like to send the client full. It still has plenty of information. Essentially, we shouldn't be really sending broker remarks to our clients because they're broker remarks. Typically, those emails will include a map if you check mark here, and it would just show you a map of where those listings are. You can edit your subject line and the content of the email right here. A useful little spot that I like to go to under my list on the left-hand side is recently viewed. So sometimes if you're logged out of TREB and you have, like you click through a bunch of properties and you don't want to set the same search again, you could just click on recently viewed and then go back to browsing the previous 100 listings that you've seen. And in here, you'd actually be able to access your listing cards, your favorite listings, or the listings that you have. So let's go over quickly over what the MLS listing is and what you should be looking for. So at the top, there are two little bars that are pretty repetitive. It's the same as what we saw in a previous list. You'd be able to send or print a listing. You can actually click on this little house address history and see how many listings have been up since time on this particular home. So if you'd click on address history, you'd see all the listings, all the suspended, expired, sold, new price changes listed. In here, these are pretty essential tools for us. The attachment tab would typically be where you'd find Schedule A, floor plans, disclosures, et cetera, et cetera. So anytime you click this, a new tab would open up with typically a PDF of whatever it is that the listing agent input in there. Virtual tour links, particularly useful if the listing has a Matterport or a 3D tour. So you'd click on this little door and you'd enter into another link. Crucial for us is the online appointment. I'm sure many of you have done this and continuously do this. Essentially, when you click on this little globe, you get to a booking service. Zolo's is ScheduleLock, but not every brokerage uses ScheduleLock. So typically the other ones you'd see are Broker Bay or Lone Wolf. So if this is a listing that you're interested in particular, you would click on Web Forms or Authentisign to start drafting an offer from this listing. And it would actually bring you to web forms with a pre-populated information. you still have to edit and input a bunch of information on all the forms for you to have a proper and compliant offer. But this is a quick little link for that. And if you want to find out any other information, for instance, who's registered on title and how old the home is, you'd click on Geo Warehouse or Property Line, and you get that other information. So crucial elements in this listing are obviously the address, days on the market, price, status. If you're looking for a locker information, it would be right here. Possession information would be under possession date or possession. Occupancy would be either tenant, owner, or vacant. Exposure is sometimes important for clients, so this is where you'd find that. Sometimes homes have different types of heating that are not up to current standards, and you would find that out here under heat. So let's say if there's an oil tank, it would say oil tank, and that would be kind of a flag for you to raise to your client. With respect to maintenance, what's included in a maintenance fee or what's included in rent, you would find that here. Pets permitted, so quick little note, I've never seen a listing with a pets permitted with Y for yes. They're either N for no or R for restricted, because there's always restrictions for pets. So you can't have a gorilla in your home. That's what a restriction means. And parking information would be in this box. So as we mentioned before, client remarks and brokerage remarks, they would actually be found here. So another particular useful case is if your client doesn't want a home that that has a basement tenant, you can actually create a filter by a client or broker remarks and insert the words 1/3 or 30% or shared or basement tenanted. And then it would give you all the listings that don't have those words. But again, it's not perfect because not every agent writes these details in the same way. But essentially you would find that information in client remark or brokerage remarks. And more importantly, every time you have any questions about a particular listing, you have to contact the listing agent. It's their listing. They know everything about the home, or at least they should. So this is exactly where you'd find their information. Ideally, their phone number is populated here. Sometimes it's just a brokerage phone number, so you'd have to call the brokerage and to try to get to the listing agent. Another quick little thing here. So at the top of your listing, you see this little clock for history. This would give you the history of that particular listing. So you can snoop around and see what changes the listing agent has made. If there was a price change, if there was an open house deleted, let's say, or a remark that wasn't supposed to be there. Like you could actually see everything that the agent has done with the listing and what time it's been done. So particularly useful if the listing agent is pulling some sneaky tricks with respect to pricing a property. I had a situation once where I put an offer for a client. The property was listed for $3,500 for lease. And then as soon as I called the agent and said my client's interested, they changed the price, like right after my phone call. And I could tell exactly when they did that. Long story short, called out the agent and we ended up getting it for the previous price. But it's just a way for you to see the history of a listing. Yeah, and this is, I guess, where we would go into questions.
Awesome, thanks, Ronnie. So yeah, we do have a couple of questions. So going back to, you showed your email signature there. So we had a question come in about how to upload their business card, similar to what you had there.
Yeah.
Not sure if you have access to that to show us.
Yeah, let me just log into TREB, okay?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for this today, Ronnie. Super informative.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hopefully it's not too long and boring.
No, TREB is not boring. How could it be boring? Yeah, no, but definitely, yeah, I picked up a couple of things along the way as well. Just that address history button, that's something that I didn't realize was so readily available. So things like that are definitely good to know. You also mentioned favorites. So if you were to go into your prospect search and if you highlighted a few properties as your favorites, where would you find them later? That was another question.
Favorites here.
Favorites right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually forgot how to change my my email signature. I set it up and I just forgot how to do it.
I know it's one of the things you do at the very beginning, right? Yeah, yeah, settings.
Settings. Oh, send. Yeah, here you go. So click on settings, send, and then you can choose a business card, and then you would upload.
So you actually just took a picture of that and then uploaded it to your signature?
Well,
Oh,
as you
PDF.
can see, there are see the print marks behind.
Oh,
So that's from the photographer that made my my business card. So I just took that business card and uploaded, but you can't really see it when you send it out to prospects. So
no, that's true, totally. And actually, even when you do order your business cards and they send you that proof, that's something that you could probably use to upload um,
yeah,
this business card. So yeah, so that, okay, awesome. So we've answered that question. So going back to the history of the listing agent. So can you show that again? Because I know you gave a great example about list price. I know I've also seen it happen with commission. So they may list something and the commission is 2.5, you submit an offer and then it changes suddenly to 1%.
yeah,
So that's definitely a good thing to know, how to look into the history of that.
yeah. So this is a random listing. Just click on history, and then you'd see there wasn't much changes here, but you can see exactly who put in the changes. So Susan Gucci, who's the listing agent, just updated the pictures and changed the virtual tour information and found out magically that the square footage is this. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy to me that that's sometimes left blank. It should definitely be a mandatory field, I think. But yeah, it's always good to know the square footage.
yeah. The problem is with this, like I mentioned before, is that sometimes they would include basement with the square footage, which is inaccurate, or in the case of a condo, they would include like a balcony.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that it's the best filter yet until they at least clamp down and make that mandatory and somewhat enforceable.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Yeah. So I'm just thinking of any other questions. You guys, if you have anything else that you'd like to see, we are in TREB live right now, so we can really address anything that you are that you have questions about. Now, I know you mentioned that you bookmark Authentisign. Now, with TREB, is there an app that you've used or that you're familiar with?
No, here, this is the bookmark. What I do is essentially, here, let's go to the home page. So I would click on Web Forms Authentisign, and it would link me here. Then I would just drag this onto my bookmarks. That's it. And going forward, even if I'm logged out from TREB, I'm actually able to access, access this. I don't have to input my my authenticator at all. So if I have to draft an offer, I just have to do it quick. No time to look at the authenticator, even though it takes 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I can log in here. Yeah.
I know that's also a good shortcut. Yeah, because logging into TREB sometimes, especially if you don't have your phone handy, can take a minute. So no, that's great. So yeah, bookmarking Authentisign. And then, yeah, sorry, I sort of asked you two questions all at once. Are you familiar with or do you know of an app for TREB? I know that some agents have mentioned that.
Yes, there is an app for TREB, but it's so primitive that you might as well just browse on your phone. Just open up a browser because it's really bad.
Yeah. Okay. fair enough. And then we do have another question coming in, how to delete transactions in Authentisign. So of course we don't have the ability to do that. I don't know if you want to address that.
I think the deals department is the only ones that can do that, right?
Yeah, so in Authentisign, you guys have a couple of different statuses that you can select. So if you've prepared an offer, then the default is going to be open status. But then if it expires, you know, the listing agent never really got back to you, then you can select expired. If your client changes their mind, then you can select withdrawn. And then of course you can also select firm or failed. So if you were in multiple offers, unfortunately your client didn't win, then that would be a situation where you would select failed, but hopefully you're selecting that firm status. So yeah, those are some options there. So unfortunately we can't delete the transaction, but you can update the status on each transaction in Authentisign.
So this listing of mine was just withdrawn or canceled, terminated. So I just selected withdrawn, just like Jane mentioned.
Perfect.
But if it expires, you select expired, et cetera, et cetera.
Amazing. So, okay, we've got a few more questions coming in. Is the TREB store open or do we have to order everything online?
I'm not sure if the TREB store is open, but yeah, I haven't been there in years. You could order it online.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's available online now. Is there any way to specify maintenance fees in condos? Can you show also pet-friendly searches?
Yeah, pet-friendly searches aren't easy. Again, you're not allowed to explicitly say that your property is like not pet-friendly, but people still do. And unfortunately, the only way to filter this is by keywords or words that are frequently used. So I'll give you an example for homes that are available for lease. So let's say residential freehold available lease. We go here, and I guarantee you the search results are going to be super slim. So I'm just going to click the entire GTA, add a field, and I would search for remarks for brokers, and remarks for clients, and I would enter the word no pets or pet friendly. Let's see how many no no pet listings there are. But here, pet friendly. So you'd have 2 pet friendly properties, but you also want to search in remarks for clients. Okay, it's not useful. Or pets allowed. Here, 8 listings in all of Toronto or all of the GTA, and these are the pet friendly listings. It's not that useful because not everybody writes explicitly that they're pet friendly. So instead, what you might want to do is not no pets, or yeah, it's still not even that useful because there's a lot of listings that don't even mention pets at all. So that's 2,360 listings that don't say no pets, right? So there isn't a really good way for you to search that. It's a bit of a more of a manual thing for you to do. So you would pull up the search and look for listings that don't explicitly say no pets. And then the ones that don't say that, you would essentially have to contact the listing agent to see whether or not they're pet friendly. Condo maintenance fees are a little easier. So let's go here. All right, let me just start a new one. So I believe in quick search, it's already there. If it's not, then you could just look for it here. Sorry, it should be here already. You seeing it?
Yep.
Yeah. One moment. Yeah, so it should be in this field somewhere. Common elements included. No, that's not it. But in any case, you can actually find it here somewhere amongst these 1,000 options.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't know if that's.
Oh, sorry, I selected freehold. That's why it wasn't available. There you go. There you go. It's actually automatically included with your quick search. So under price and status, maintenance, let's say under $400 and 2 bedrooms minimum, 17 properties that have under $400 maintenance.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, thanks for showing that again. I'm just looking at the chat to see if there are any other questions coming in. But yeah, I think that covers everything. Thanks again, Ronnie, for doing this. Yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let us know now before we log off. Otherwise, reach out to your growth manager. But of course, TREB has a bunch of webinars that are available to you. Don't forget to look at the professional development link that Ronnie showed at the beginning. They do offer lots of training, so take advantage of those as well. But you know, we do our best here to also remind you of these things so that you're familiar with all the tools that you need to run your business effectively. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. Thank you again, Ronnie. And it's super informative. And for the rest of you, we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thanks a lot, Jane. Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
again. Bye, guys.